Howard Hughes was an American aviator, engineer, filmmaker, and successful businessman. In addition to his many business accomplishments, Hughes set several world flight records and produced a number of well-known Hollywood films. During his storied career, he was often ranked as one of the richest people in the world. Hughes's final years, however, were spent as an eccentric recluse with accounts of drug abuse, chronic pain, and a severe obsessive-compulsive disorder. On April 5, 1976, Hughes died on board an aircraft on his way back to his hometown, Houston, Texas. At first, it appeared that his entire $2.5 billion estate was left without an estate plan. His estate was declared intestate until a mysterious 3-page handwritten letter was delivered to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The unconventional will distributed $1.56 billion to various charitable organizations and $782 million to his 2 ex-wives, 1 cousin, and company employees. However, the most startling distribution was the $156 million gift to gas station owner Melvin Dumar, who claimed he met Hughes one night nearly 9 years prior to his death. Dumar told reporters that he found Hughes lying in the desert on the side of the highway and gave him a ride to the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. Dumar originally claimed he had no knowledge of the will, but after intense questioning and forensic evidence, he confessed he was the one who had delivered the will to the church. After nearly 2 years of court battles, what became known as the Mormon will was rejected and proclaimed a forgery. Hughes's $2.5 billion estate was ultimately split in 1983 among 22 cousins and various other beneficiaries. Was Dumar's story true? What were Hughes's true wishes for his immense estate? Hughes was obviously wealthy enough to afford estate planning, but like many regular Americans, he let this crucial life decision fall through the cracks. Jerry Garcia was an American singer, songwriter, and guitar player. He is most famous for being the lead guitarist and vocalist in the band The Grateful Dead, which Garcia co-founded and performed with for their entire 30-year career. He was also part of several other musical projects, such as the Jerry Garcia Band, Old and in the Way, and Legion of Mary. Garcia produced well over 50 records in his lifetime and is consistently ranked in Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Guitarists of All Time.
Jerry Garcia, the Grateful Dead guitarist who kept the counterculture of the 1960s rocking and rolling right into the 90s, died today in California.
After battling drug addiction, diabetes, sleep apnea, and weight problems throughout his life, Jerry Garcia died of a heart attack at a rehabilitation center in California just 8 days after his 53rd birthday in August of 1995. Garcia's third wife, Deborah, was named as the executor of his estate, worth $15.4 million. Immediately after Garcia's death, his estate was attacked by several creditors and one of his ex-wives, Carolyn Mountain Girl Garcia. Carolyn had submitted a short, handwritten note to the court, signed by Jerry Garcia, agreeing to pay her $250,000 each year as part of their divorce agreement. Even though Deborah disputed the claim, the judge ruled in Carolyn's favor and granted her $5 million of Garcia's estate. It took nearly 6 years for Deborah to settle all of the claims against the estate, not to mention the thousands of dollars in legal fees. If Jerry Garcia had an experienced estate planning attorney organize his estate and financial affairs, Deborah would not have had to spend all that time after her husband's death protecting his wealth and legacy. Leona Helmsley, also known as the Queen of Mean, was a successful businesswoman who became famous when she was found guilty of tax evasion in the late 1980s. Along with her husband, Harry Helmsley, she amassed a real estate empire in New York City, including the Empire State Building, the Tudor City apartment complex, 230 Park Avenue, named the Helmsley Building, and several other properties. In 2007, at the age of 87, Helmsley died due to congestive heart failure. She left most of her alleged $4 billion estate to the Leona M. and Harry B. Helmsley Charitable Trust, used to fund charities that benefited dogs. Helmsley's will also specifically left her Maltese dog, Trouble, a $12 million trust fund. Helmsley's will also distributed $10 million to 2 of her 4 grandchildren, purposefully disinheriting the other 2, Craig and Megan. Helmsley's spurned grandchildren took their case to court, claiming that Helmsley was mentally unfit to create and execute her will. After 7 months, the court ruled in their favor, granting them $6 million tax-free and reimbursement for all of their legal fees. Furthermore, the grandchildren challenged the amount in Trouble's trust, stating that $12 million exceeded the necessary amount for the expenses of the dog. The judge agreed and transferred $10 million from the fund to Helmsley's charitable trust. Despite an organized estate plan, there were still issues that allowed the court to overrule Helmsley's wishes and redistribute her estate as it saw fit. Marlon Brando was considered one of the most influential actors of the 20th century. He starred in movies such as A Streetcar Named Desire, The Wild One, On the Waterfront, The Godfather, and many more. Brando won multiple awards for his performances and was named the 4th greatest male star in the history of American cinema by the American Film Institute.
Welcome back to Dayside. As we have been reporting, Oscar-winning actor Marlon Brando has died.
At the age of 80 in July 2004, Marlon Brando died from respiratory failure. Although Brando suffered from dementia and was presumed to be physically and mentally unfit to make life-changing decisions, he had signed a codicil to his existing will that appointed new executors to oversee his estate a mere 13 days before his death. The new executors quickly took charge of Brando's $21 million estate. Among 24 lawsuits filed after Brando's death, Angela Borlaza, Brando's household assistant and cook, sued the estate after she was terminated and told to vacate her home, which was owned by Brando. Borlaza claimed that the house was a gift from Marlon and that he had also promised her employment for a period of time after his death. She claimed the last-minute codicil was a forgery, and the new executors did not have a right to make decisions regarding Brando's estate. Borlaza ended up settling for less than 7% of what she originally fought for. Because of Brando's lack of detail in his will, his estate suffered several legal challenges. This impacted many individuals who had relied on Brando's promises and created a legal quagmire for those entrusted with administering his estate. Sonny Bono was an American singer, producer, actor, and politician. Bono wrote, sang, and produced several popular songs such as I Got You Babe and The Beat Goes On. He was part of the famous singing duo Sonny and Cher, and of course starred in the popular The Sonny and Cher Show. After retiring from the entertainment industry, Bono was elected mayor of Palm Springs, a popular desert resort town in Southern California. He later went on to national politics when he was elected to Congress as a representative from California's 44th District. He served in Congress until his untimely death in January 1998 in a freak skiing accident.
Sonny Bono was fatally injured in a skiing accident.
Bono was 62 at the time of his death. Even though Bono was an intelligent and successful individual, he overlooked one major document in his personal life. Sonny Bono died without a will. Bono was survived by his fourth wife, Mary Bono, who was left to handle his estate and his legacy. Mary's first step was to submit a petition to the court in order to be named the administrator of Bono's estate. When the probate case opened, claims started flooding in, including a claim by Bono's second wife, Cher, who alleged Sonny still owed her a significant amount of money from their divorce. To add to the complications, a man named Sean Machu filed a claim that he was Bono's illegitimate son and was therefore entitled to a share of Bono's estate. Although these issues were ultimately resolved, Bono's wishes were left unknown, and instead of being able to mourn her husband's death and heal from her loss, Mary was forced to deal with an endless list of legal issues to ensure Bono's estate was properly handled. Ted Williams was an American baseball player for the Boston Red Sox and a World War II and Korean War veteran.
Paso pitches, Williams swings, there's a high drive, going deep, it is a home run!
Williams is known as one of the greatest hitters of all time and was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1966. He received an American League Most Valuable Player award twice in his career, along with 17 All-Star awards and 2 Triple Crowns. Ted Williams suffered from cardiomyopathy, and after a series of strokes and congestive heart failure, he passed away due to a heart attack on July 5, 2002, at the age of 83. Williams had a clear will in place for the distribution of his estate and care of his legacy. His will stated that he wanted to be cremated with his ashes strewn over the Florida Keys. However, a signed handwritten note provided by his 2 youngest children, John Henry and Claudia, stated that he wanted to be cryogenically frozen. Bobby Jo Farrell, Williams' oldest child, took her 2 half-siblings to court to defend Williams' cremation wishes, but John Henry and Claudia argued they signed the handwritten note with their father and 2 witnesses shortly before his death. After several months of battling, Farrell was unable to finance more court hearings and reluctantly dropped the case. Today, Ted Williams' severed head and body are being stored separately in a cryogenics lab in Arizona. What was Ted Williams' true wish for his remains? Was the handwritten note a forgery? Or had Williams had a genuine change of heart? If Williams had had an attorney assist him with this change, his true wishes would have been clear. It would have saved time and money, and more importantly, prevented a family from being torn apart. Alfred Bloomingdale, the grandson of Bloomingdale's department store co-founder Lyman Bloomingdale, was a well-known businessman and political advisor. He founded a credit card company that later merged with Diners Club and served on the President's Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board for his close friend Ronald Reagan. In 1982, Alfred Bloomingdale died of throat cancer at the age of 66. Shortly before his death, Bloomingdale wrote a letter guaranteeing financial support for his longtime mistress, Vicki Morgan, in the amount of $10,000 per month. When Bloomingdale's wife Betsy discovered this deal, she put an immediate stop to the payments. This prompted Morgan to file a $5 million breach of contract suit against Bloomingdale. Unfortunately for her, her claim was dismissed by the court, leaving her with no additional money. Due to her financial stress, Morgan was forced to move in with Marvin Pancoast, a man she had previously met at a mental hospital, where they were both treated for depression. On July 7, 1983, Morgan's unstable roommate snuck into her room and violently murdered her in her sleep. After her death, a longtime friend and lawyer challenged the dismissal of Morgan's claim against the Bloomingdale estate. He ultimately won $200,000 for her family. Unfortunately, Morgan never got to benefit from her lover's promise of financial stability. If Alfred Bloomingdale had made his promise to Vicki Morgan legal through his will, her tragic and sudden death could have been prevented. Heath Ledger was an Australian actor and director who famously starred in 4 television series and 19 films, including Brokeback Mountain, A Knight's Tale, The Patriot, Monsters Ball, and quite possibly his most famous role as the Joker in the Batman sequel, The Dark Knight.
And you didn't disappoint. You let 5 people die. Then you let Dent take your place. Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
He won more than 40 awards for his incredible acting, including an Oscar awarded after his death for The Dark Knight in 2009. Heath's fame was accompanied by a net worth of approximately $20 million.
The actor Heath Ledger was found dead today in an apartment here in New York City. He was just 28 years old. The Australian-born actor came to huge prominence.
Ledger's death was a tragic surprise for his family, friends, and himself. His will was written 3 years before his accidental drug overdose and did not include his 2-year-old daughter, Matilda Rose. Unfortunately, his will left everything to his parents and 3 sisters, with no provisions at all for his ex-fiancée and mother of his child, Michelle Williams, or their young child, Matilda. After a nasty and protracted family feud involving Ledger's parents, uncles, and rumors of a mystery child conceived when he was 17, Heath's fortune was the center of a full-out family battle. Eventually, Kim, Ledger's father, conceded that Matilda should receive everything in Ledger's estate. On top of his approximately $20 million net worth, Matilda also inherited a $10 million life insurance policy that Heath had taken out specifically for his daughter. The central question was Heath's intention for the distribution of his wealth. Did he really want everything to go to his daughter, or did he believe that the life insurance policy was sufficient and his immediate family should share in the distribution of his estate? Because of his poor planning decisions, we'll never know his true intentions. The only certain result was a family torn apart over money. Anna Nicole Smith was a famous model and actress. She modeled for Guess, Lane Bryant, and most notoriously for Playboy, where she was named Playmate of the Year in 1993. She also starred in a number of forgettable films, like Illegal Aliens, To the Limit, and Skyscraper. Because of her offbeat fame, she starred in her own reality series, The Anna Nicole Show. However, Much of Smith's fame came as a result of her short marriage to oil tycoon J. Howard Marshall II, who was 62 years her senior. After being married for less than 2 years, Marshall died, and what followed was one of the most famous probate litigation cases ever, Marshall versus Marshall. During their marriage, Smith received over $6.5 million in gifts, but was excluded from Marshall's will and trust. She challenged the will, claiming that Marshall had promised her half of his estate. The courts presided over a contentious legal battle that would last 15 years and even continued after Smith's own untimely death in 2007.
At 2:49 p.m. yesterday, Anna Nicole was pronounced dead here in Hollywood, Florida.
After the decade-and-a-half battle that eventually found its way to the Supreme Court, Anna received nothing from Marshall's estate. To make matters worse, when Smith died, a whole new family feud began due to problems with her own will. Because of both Marshall and Smith's lack of proper estate planning, millions of dollars in legal fees and countless hours of fighting were unnecessarily spent. If competent attorneys had been hired in the beginning, their estates would have been protected, their wishes would have been honored, and their families would not have been needlessly torn apart. Tupac was an American rapper, songwriter, and actor who released 13 albums, 11 of which hit platinum status. Tupac is considered one of the best-selling music artists in the world due to the 75 million albums he sold as of 2010. He also starred in 7 movies such as Bullet, Above the Rim, and Poetic Justice with actress Janet Jackson. Tupac won 4 awards, including the American Music Award and Soul Train Music Award.
After attending a Tyson fight in Las Vegas, Tupac, who was sitting in the passenger seat of a black BMW, was shot multiple times.
On September 7, 1996, Tupac was shot several times in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. Severely injured, Tupac died 6 short days later. Although Tupac often thought, talked, and rapped about death, he died without having a valid will in place. Afeni, Tupac's mother, had to file court papers establishing herself as the administrator of his estate. However, at the time of his death, his estate was shockingly modest. His estate included a 5-figure life insurance policy, 2 cars, and a checking account with only $105,000. Afeni knew that with the millions of dollars that her son's records generated, there was something wrong. This started a series of multiple courtroom battles. Afeni fought to declare Tupac's true estate value and protect his legacy. After battling for almost a year, Tupac's net worth grew to an impressive $15 to $25 million. The probate court granted Tupac's mother personal living expenses of $16,340 a month, including $1,200 a month for her grandchildren and $2,000 a month for Tupac's half-sister, his 2 nieces, 2 cousins, an aunt, and 2 uncles. As the sole heir of Tupac's estate, Afeni spent 2 long years following her son's death defending his net worth from claimants. If Tupac had created a reasonable estate plan, his family would not have had to go through these painful public battles to distribute his estate and protect his future earnings. Janet Jackson's co-star wasn't the only one to not have taken part in good estate planning. 13 years later, her brother's death created an even bigger probate war. Michael Jackson. He's the most successful entertainer of all time. As the king of pop, Michael Jackson popularized the robot and moonwalk, along with his 11 best-selling albums, including Off the Wall, Bad, Dangerous, and History. And we can't forget his 1982 album, Thriller, that remains at the top of the charts as the best-selling album of all time. Jackson received 13 Grammy Awards, 26 American Music Awards, and has been inducted into the Hollywood Walk of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jackson earned an estimated $750 million in his lifetime.
Michael Jackson has died in Los Angeles this afternoon.
At the age of 50 in June 2009, Michael Jackson died after suffering from a cardiac arrest caused by an overdose of the drugs propofol and benzodiazepine. His death was a worldwide tragedy. Not only was his memorial overcrowded, but an astonishing 1 billion people watched the ceremony live on television. Following his death, family members, friends, and fans all wondered what would become of his iconic legacy and estate. Jackson had set up a will, as well as the Michael Jackson Family Trust. He assigned 3 executors and trustees to oversee his thorough estate plan. The beneficiaries of the trust were his 3 children, his mother Catherine, with the last 20% donated to charity. Jackson did everything correct, except one crucial element. He never funded the trust. Legal battles quickly followed Jackson's death. His mother initiated the fights by wanting to remove the non-family member executors Jackson had selected. Although the judge did not follow through with her request, he did allow Jackson's heirs the right to challenge any decisions the executors made regarding the pop star's royalty rights and new business endeavors. Because of the lack of proper funding, Jackson's private affairs have been made public, and family and executors continue to spend countless amounts of money and time managing his estate. Princess Diana, internationally known as the People's Princess, was the famous Princess of Wales. She devoted herself to numerous charities and organizations around the world. She was the president of the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children and the British Marital Advice Organization. Her most notable campaign was the International Campaign to Ban Landmines, a global effort to free the world of anti-personal landmines. The cause was honored with a Nobel Peace Prize a few short months after her death.
We're interrupting programs to tell you that Diana, Princess of Wales, is gravely ill in intensive care in Paris's Salpêtrière Hospital after being seriously injured in a car crash.
Princess Diana tragically died in a car crash in Paris on August 31st, 1997. While intoxicated and driving at high speeds trying to evade the paparazzi, Diana's driver lost control of the limousine and crashed into concrete pillars in a Paris tunnel. It was not until 5 years after Princess Diana's death that her true testamentary wishes were revealed. Diana had written a letter the day after the completion of her formal will, stating that she would like her personal belongings to be divided between her 2 sons and 17 godchildren. Instead, her sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, and mother, Frances Shand Kidd, gifted each of her godchildren with 1 small trinket, each to remember Diana by. They had abruptly dispersed and disposed of her remaining possessions a few days after her passing. If Princess Diana had included her bequests in a formal estate plan, instead of writing a separate letter, her wishes would have been followed. Instead, her true intentions didn't come to light until it was too late. John Wayne, 1907 to 1979. John Wayne, born Marion Morrison, was an American actor, director, and producer. Wayne starred in over 170 films, including Western classics The Quiet Man, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and The Shootist. He received several awards, including 2 Golden Apple Awards, 3 Golden Globes, 7 Laurel Awards, and 4 People's Choice Awards. He also won an Academy Award and Golden Globe for his leading performance in True Grit. He continues to hold the record for the actor with the most leading parts, totaling 142. John Wayne passed away at the age of 72 in June 1979 due to an aggressive case of stomach and lung cancer. Unfortunately, his children started battling over his estate shortly after his death. The first court case was between his daughter, Asa Wayne, and her older brother, Ethan Wayne, who managed Wayne Enterprises to determine the accurate market value of the estate. The Duke's estate included a 135-foot yacht, 2 cattle ranches, and an 11-room house in Newport Beach, California. Asa claimed his estate was worth approximately $15 million, while Ethan stated it was closer to $10 million. In 2006, 27 years later, 5 of Wayne's children and 8 grandchildren brought Wayne's estate to court again to find out where his memorabilia had been stored. Wayne's surviving family was concerned about preserving the memory of John Wayne and wanted to secure the safe possession of his items. The estate battles are still going on after more than 30 years. Judy Garland, 1922 to 1969. Judy Garland, born Frances Ethel Gum, was an American actress and singer. She starred in over 40 films, including the classic The Wizard of Oz. Garland also recorded 24 records and appeared in concert over 1,100 times. She won a Golden Globe Award, 2 Grammy Awards, and 6 Grammy Hall of Fame Awards in her lifetime. However, her personal life was not as successful as her professional one. Garland was married more than 5 times and constantly struggled with drugs and alcohol. Garland died at the age of 47 due to an overdose of barbiturates. Although there were speculations of suicide, the final autopsy report showed the overdose was accidental. Garland died with absolutely nothing to pass on. The IRS seized all of her assets to pay back taxes. And although she had a detailed will, there was no money to distribute. Garland's 40 years of fame left no personal wealth to pass on. However, she did give the world a rich professional legacy.